Go live, John.
We are. All right. Hey, Fish, let me ask you this. What's worse, working as an intern in the Clinton White House with Monica Lewinsky or working with me at Real TV? Well, Natalie Plain is going to tell us. She is a successful entrepreneur and the owner of Billion Dollar Beauty, a successful cosmetic company for women and for men. She also worked with me at Real TV just after she was a White House intern. She also has insight into that big story that is now a TV miniseries. Plus, she is a huge LA Lakers fan, so we're going to talk some preseason NBA with her. So stay tuned for Natalie Plain of Billion Dollar Beauty. I bet she has some cosmetic suggestions for both of us, Fish, don't you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've got some nice. I have some nice eyebrows. Look at those. They're real.
Yeah, I don't, which is what we got to talk about. All right. Also coming up, NFL and college games this week, and we will review our picks from last week. Plus, we have our schmuck of the week who was whistling down the wrong path and who's got the swag saves a flying cat at a college football game. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Daily Fish. John Daly here with Eric Snyder, a.k.a. Fish. We're coast to coast coming to you from Las Vegas. Las Vegas and Myrtle Beach. We talk sports, entertainment, and everything in between. Fish, you're the one who lost his voice, and I'm the one who gags while I'm talking.
Unfortunately for our listeners and viewers, I just got my voice back. It was gone. This is what I sound like all day today. Sort of like Doug Flynn.
Absolutely. And there's good reason why, because we're going to do the grind right now. Here's what we're grinding on. First, what a great football game last night in Vegas. Fish, you were there as the Raiders win in overtime. Give us a rundown that caused you to lose your voice.
Well, let me show you some of the picks. This is actually the stadium when it's full. I mean, it was just great to see Vegas having a stadium and just a wonderful crowd. And this is really what it's all about. This is the Al Davis torch. Look at that sea of humanity. And right on the bottom of that torch right there is where it's like these little lounges are and this wonderful bar. And that's where JT the Brick sets up and the radio guy. So it was a wonderful experience. I've been to hundreds of Raider games in my life. And if you watched the game last night and saw the drama that pursued, it was one of the best events I've ever been to. And the bottom line is, in these times when we're so divided right now and everyone's pissed off and angered, that 3.5 hours took you into another world. It was just a great, great football game. And of course, I'm happy I'm happy that we won, and my wife is happy that I lost my voice.
Let's jump into the game just a little bit here. I thought the Raiders were absolutely horrible in the first half. And then in the second half, I thought the Ravens looked like a team with no preseason training that they had and also with a lot of injuries. What were you seeing as far as the game?
Well, this is the second half. Can you read that? Raiders resurrection. Gruden said, I died and woke up and died again after 33-27 overtime throw over Ravens. That's a headline. That's the front page of the Review Journal sports page. I'm really critical of the Raiders, being the guy that's missed one game in 42 years. And what I saw in the second half, and you brought it out to me in watching football, second half adjustments. And in the fourth quarter and overtime, Derek Carr threw for over 235 yards and was brilliant. And the Raiders defense, which was absolutely last and horrible last year, stepped up and forced 2 fumbles from Lamar Jackson, and that turned the game around. Just a great, great game. And a great game to build on if you're a Raider fan.
And it was a great game on television as well. So I can only imagine how great it was when you were there. But, watching it on TV was spectacular as well. All right, let's look at more from week one. My first thought, 1 week does not a season make. We just can't make any concrete assessments yet. But the team that really impressed me was the Arizona Cardinals on both sides. They obliterated the Titans in Nashville. Now, was that good Cards or bad Titans?
Combination of both. I mean, Mike Vrabel's a very good coach of the Titans. I like Ryan Tannehill as a quarterback. I like their defense. But Arizona's one of those sneaky teams that you and I talked about on previous podcasts. One of those teams that did make the playoffs last year, they could step up. And that was a good, talk about a good season opener. Just a signature win for that organization going in there. Fantastic.
Yeah, we'll just have to see what happens next week with them. All right. One of your predictions last week stood out strongly. Jameis Winston.
Yeah, I mean, I called him for comeback player of the year. He only threw for 149 yards, but he threw 5 touchdowns. And the main thing is he managed that game. And that's what you talked about, the good Cards, bad Titans. That was the biggest shocker of the week for me, is the fact that Green Bay just went in there and looked like it was a scrimmage to them. They were so horrible. But I give Jameis Winston a lot of credit. And I still believe he's going to carry this torch the rest of the season and command that team into the playoffs.
Nope, you certainly look good in that pick. Anything else stood out for you for the week?
Yeah, the level of play was great. The officiating was great this week. I watched almost every game. I got to pick on the Giants a little bit. I'm high on the Giants, and I thought that they were just badly outcoached and badly outplayed. Disappointing they lost to the Denver Broncos. Philadelphia. No one talks about Philadelphia Eagles, but Jalen Hurts quietly had a really great game. And Atlanta's not a dominating team. And I'll tell you the last thing, so we can get through this. Mac Jones was 29 out of 39 for 289 yards and a touchdown. And he had the best opener of any rookie between Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence. It wasn't his fault that I believe it was Damian Harris fumbled in the 11-yard line going in for the win. That's not typical of a Patriots game, but I was impressed with Mac Jones.
Yep. That running back will probably not be running next week. All right, our picks from last week. Here are the 5 games for week 1. Now, I went 2-3. I had the Steelers and the Chiefs as my win, but I lost with Green Bay, Washington, and the Giants. Fish, you went 3-2. You had the Steelers, Saints, and Chargers, but you lost with the Browns and the Giants. What are your thoughts on that?
Chargers. The Chargers in Washington. The Washington had the 4th-rated defense last year and played great, but Justin Herbert, I should have talked about that in the previously. Justin Herbert, there's no sophomore slump in his first game, and he's got a new coach, Brandon Staley, so he's learning a new offense, and he looked like he just took off from last year and never missed a beat.
All right, this week we have 5 new games. Let's see who has it first. Thursday night, Giants at Washington. I'm going to go with the Giants to bounce back. I think Washington has too many QB woes. What do you think, Fish?
I want to go against you, because I want to make this. Fun. Although I'm rooting for the Giants and my family and New Yorkers, and a good, really, really good friend of the show, Dave Pinotti. But I'm gonna go with Washington. They don't have Ryan Fitzpatrick, John. They're going with Taylor Heineke. What a great name. Just think if he drank Heineken, we could do a toast of the week to this guy. I'm going with the Washington football team.
All right, Bills at the Dolphins. Who do you got?
I'm going with the Bills. I think they bounced back. Like you said, just 3 seconds ago, that one game doesn't make a season, and because they lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which are a good football team, I'm not taking that as a sign of doomsday for the Buffalo Bills. I'm going Buffalo.
All right, I got the Dolphins at home. The Bills, to me, look like the old Bills from a few years ago, so we'll see about that. All right, Cowboys at the Chargers. I love this game. I'm going Cowboys. How about you?
I'm going Chargers. What I saw, look, that Thursday night, another one. The Raider game was great, but that Thursday night game last week, wow, we haven't talked about that. That between the Cowboys and the Tampa Bay was another dramatic ending. But Dak Prescott looked great. So if the Cowboys won, I wouldn't be shocked. But I'm going with the Chargers. That's in LA. But how much you want to bet there's more Cowboy fans than Charger fans in that stadium in LA?
Yeah. Well, it is the Chargers after all. All right, next game. Saints at Panthers. Another good one. I got the Saints. Who you got in this one?
I got the Panthers. I love the way Sam Darnold looked. Their defense was a top 15 defense last year. They get back Christian McCaffrey. He's an all-purpose guy. That's a guy who could get 2,000 yards for them. So I'm going with the Panthers. Wow, we're not boring this week. We're going against each other.
I know. What is that? Okay, Sunday night, Chiefs at Ravens. I got the Chiefs. I think the Browns may have woke them up a bit. I'm still not sold on the Chiefs defense, though, so I think this will be a close game. What do you think?
I'm with you. This one I agree with you. I think the Ravens, that's an emotional loss. Short week, no excuses. But I saw some flaws in the Ravens defense, and Derek Carr can go for 435 yards, and Derek Carr's a very good quarterback. What could Patrick Mahomes do?
Yeah. All right, next, college football. Shocker. USC fires head coach Clay Helton after 2 games and the big loss to Stanford. Lots of speculation already going on about the new full-time coach for next year. ESPN said Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy might be interested. What are you hearing, Fish?
Like I'm seeing Natalie. Natalie Plains in the background in the queue, and she's doing this. She's actually happy about Clay Helton. I'm from LA, Natalie, and we'll talk about that and our love of LA sports. And I grew up a UCLA fan. The great thing about USC is they don't handle mediocrity well. If you're a lousy coach, and this guy was 46-24, won Pac-12 championships, won a Rose Bowl, out. Okay, I'm hearing this, and I don't be shocked if this happened. If Urban Meyer is the coach of USC next year, he doesn't stay long in any. He never stays on his contract. And there's chatter right now that he's not. One game into it, he's not happy being an NFL coach. It's not. when you're a college coach, other people do the recruiting for you. You're shaking people's hands. You got to work 12, 13 hours a day as an NFL coach. He took the $8 million, Urban Meyer. Go take $5 million and go live in Malibu.
All right. The game to watch this week is the one we discussed with actor Stephen Root a few weeks ago right here. Bama at Florida Gators. This will decide a lot for Florida. Now, Stephen's going to hate me for this, but I think it's going to be a tied rout. What do you think, Fish?
I hope not. I mean, but Alabama just, I mean, I watched that first game where they played against Miami, and it seems like 13 new starters. And again, the tide keeps rolling. That team is just that's just a dominating dynasty. Alabama, maybe by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think they're even better offensively this year than they were last year, as good as they were. So, all right, and finally on the grind, looking back at one of the greatest athletes and figures of the 20th century, Muhammad Ali. Filmmaker Ken Burns will air his new documentary on the boxing legend on PBS starting next Sunday, September 19th. I cannot wait. Ali was a braggart. He dodged the draft and he joined a religious cult, yet he was loved, and he had love and caring for a lot of people. Now, Fish, remember, go back to our interview with John Johnson, who had breakfast with Ali, and he had a lot more insight on this as well, and he brought it to us. So I'm really excited to see this documentary.
Yeah, the greatest athlete, greatest person, greatest ambassador of the 20th century. You and I, at our delicate age in our 60s, had a chance to watch this guy box live. But what he did out of the ring is just as important as he did in the ring. And Ken Burns has done wonderful documentaries on Major League Baseball, the Civil War. I mean, he's brilliant. I can only imagine what this documentary is going to look like, John, because if you're talking about a guy who could put documentaries together like it's a Picasso, it's this guy.
Absolutely. His Vietnam one was fabulous. He just finished one on Hemingway, which was, for a literature nut like me, I just absolutely loved it. It was fabulous. All right, questions or comments during the show, use the chat box here, or you can email us at dailyfish1@gmail.com or post to Facebook at daily.fish.5. Better yet, record yourself short and tight on your smartphone and send it to dailyfish1@gmail.com. All right, time for some binge watching. Hey, I'm going with Will and Grace this week. This is a laugh-out-loud sitcom, maybe the last great sitcom, at least for me. Best episode was with Kevin Bacon playing himself. You can get it on Hulu. It had an 8-season run, and then back in 2017 came back with 2 more seasons. Fish, what are you binging?
Did you say Kevin Bacon playing with himself?
No, playing himself.
Okay. I'm a sick-minded human being. That's why the contrast between our 2 personalities. I'm going to go the other way. I'm on Apple TV. I'm watching a thing called C with Jason Momoa. Think about Game of Thrones that took place in the past. This is about a post-apocalyptic future where a virus wipes out everyone. And the world 500 years from now, you're born again, the humans come back, but they're all blind. And it's all tribes. And finally, about 50 years after everyone's blind, 2 kids are born that have sight, and how it ruins everything. So.
Wow. Okay. Very good. All right. Time to move on to something fishy. What do we have, Fish? Something strange from last night?
Yeah. This is the bus I was on. Okay. That's the bus I was on. I went for the Red Rock Casino. $2. You know, you got a bagel, lox cream cheese, a cream soda, and a bus ride. Look at these people on the bus. Right? This is Raider fans. Look at that. This guy right here, the oxygen. He's got the drink. All right. I love the fact that the public transportation going to the stadiums are fantastic. You have Uber. Uber's gouging you, man. It's $200 to go to an Uber, to take an Uber. So, and people are doing it. But you know me. I'm not delicate in my, what can I say? The things that come out of my body, okay? Andrew Lloyd Webber can do a symphony with my farts and put it in Phantom of the Opera. You should have heard this bus. Women lifting their leg. There's a bathroom. There's a bathroom in the back of the bus. And some schmuck gets in the back of the bus in the bathroom, and the whole 25-minute ride, he's in there. And people are screaming, are you done? Are you done? And he's like, you on a plane. He's asking for people for reading material. I mean, if you go on a bus to a Raider game, if the Raider game stinks, it's not something fishy. This is something great. I just have to talk about it, and it's something fishy because that's the segment I'm in right now. I have never seen more laughter and stuff on a 25-minute bus ride as far as what came out. Women belching, screaming Raiders, bleh, you know, lifting their legs. I mean, that was just crazy. It's for kids to look at like that. And you're laughing your ass off. But I'm serious. Good-looking women that walk by, you know, people can walk by in the bus and go to the bathroom. There's a little cart with drinks in the front. Walk by, you know, hi, I go. My name's Natalie. No offense, Natalie. You know, great. I'll give you a fist pump, honey. That's all good. So my Funkin' Fishy is, you know, great stuff. All the station casinos have $2 bus rides to the game, but wear your mask because you're going to need it because for other reasons.
All right, now it's time for the Daily Fish Hook. And Fish, the U.S. Open tennis finals hooked us. Talk about that.
Oh, it's great. It's Grayson sportsmanship. First of all, the fact I can't pronounce this guy's name, Daniel Medvedev, beating Novak Djokovic, huge. Everyone thought that Djokovic was going to win the natural Grand Slam. Great. But what happened really got me was Britain's Emma Raducanu beat Canadian Leylah Fernandez. And these are two kids. These are two teenagers, right? And the grace and the sportsmanship they showed is rare. You don't see that. I won't mention names on the tennis circuit, but some people take losses really poorly, and they don't show it, and they're not graceful in losing. We referenced Vince Lombardi, and he had a great comment, a quote that said, "How you handle a loss is more important than you handle a victory." These two girls are really a great precursor to what young kids could look at and say, you know, I want to act like that when I play tennis.
Yeah, could be a new era in tennis, especially for the women. And I loved watching it. That was fabulous. All right, still ahead, our Schmuck of the Week is a whistler, and who's got the swag is a kitty catcher. Also, starting next week, we have a new segment for you. It is called the Daily Fish Hardline. This is a new weekly segment for all you fantasy sports and betting fans. John Hardison from the podcast, The Cost of Winning, will be with us each week giving us his insight. We have had him on the show before, and he's going to be on again. He's excited to be with us as a regular to share all of his weekly insights. And Fish, I don't know where you went, but I was going to ask you about this being a good get. I wonder if did you get on the trolley to go to the game or something?
Did I?
Yeah. Where'd you go?
Oh, right now. You want to know?
Did you fart again?
No, my dog has diarrhea. So she's sitting there like this, and she's panting, and she's going to the door, and she's hitting the door, the glass door. Oh. So I don't want her to poop in that. I'm serious. This is horrible on the podcast. Oh. But I don't have a dog door because she's too big. So I went to let her out so she could do her business. And I knew you were doing your little tease here, so I figured I'd use that time. And I did no.
Okay. Well, to talk just really briefly about the Daily Fish Hardline, because John Hardison, I mean, that's a great get for us.
How do we get that guy? That's because of you, man. Well, we got a guy that's great with trends and lines, and when we could bring up certain games on a Tuesday and say, what do we think is going to happen Saturday or Sunday? This guy's going to tell us, bet this team, bet that. Give it a look. He's like any other guy, but he's pretty good. He's pretty good at phone analytics, and that's really big right now.
Yep, absolutely. And again, that will be the Daily Fish Hardline with John Hardison from the Cost of Winning podcast. That's going to be starting right here at this time next week. All right. Hey, folks, thanks again for tuning in. We are Daily Fish. We're live on Facebook Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We air on DBNA television on Roku, Amazon Fire, and soon Apple TV. We stream 24/7 on the DBNA television website at dbnatelevision.com. We are now also on the Myrtle Beach Golf Channel. Follow and like us also on Facebook at daily.fish.5, and you can subscribe on YouTube. All right, time for our Schmuck of the Week. Who's been schmucky this week, Fish?
This is great. This is the bench. The bench is cleared. That's the Yankees and the Red Sox from last Sunday. You know why?
No, Mets.
Mets, Yankees and the Mets. And I'm so this is crazy. This is what caused them to empty the benches. So I guess Francisco Lindor was whistling as he hit a home run, and it pissed off Giancarlo Stanton and said, "You don't whistle when you play baseball." I didn't know that was one of the unwritten rules of baseball. We should have talked to Johnny Bench about that. But it caused the benches to clear. I'm thinking, what schmucks? We're trying to teach sportsmanship. Just talked about Leylah Fernandez and Raducanu, and these guys are going to get pissed off at each other over whistling. Are you nuts?
Well, and a lot of it was the whistling was tipping off pitches. So that's what they were upset about. And I guess it just kind of boiled over. Hey, it's the Yankees and the Mets. So, but usually you'd thought it would have been the Yankees and the Red Sox having a brawl like that.
Natalie, John, I call bullshit.
All right, let's move on to something even better. Let's see who's this week's Who's got the swag. Who are we toasting this week, Fish?
This is fantastic. You gotta love. We're both animal lovers here, and I just did the Jesse Owens 30-yard dash, to help my dog. Watch this video, everybody.
This video won the internet tonight. A cat that had made its way into the stadium during a University of Miami football game got caught on a wire hanging below the upper deck and fell. It was dangling by one paw. Thankfully, the fans below had unfurled an American flag and used it as a...
There you go. I mean, when I first saw it, I didn't realize what the outcome was. So I was scared to death. And seeing that poor little cat, I mean, that cat would have died or would have been seriously injured at the time. And the fact that those fans were able to do that and then celebrate it afterwards, that was great. And, about your poor doggy having diarrhea, I feel bad about that, but I felt bad about the cat. I mean, I'm kind of like that. I get more upset about animals than I do about people. So
do I. On a serious note, too. I mean, they can't talk to us, but they love us and they show their unconditional love. And the same thing, I saw that and said, this has to end well, and thank God for those fans that they weren't too drunk at a game and caught them in the American flag. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's great. All right. Now for our drink of the week, we're going to toast them. What are we sipping, Fish?
Well, I'm doing this. Can we see this? This is a Modelo. This is the official beer of the Las Vegas Raiders. All right. So I'm going to take a big swig. We're going to toast our guest coming up, Natalie Plain, and also great first victory for the Raiders and a great opening week in the National Football League. Cheers.
All right, before we drink, don't drink yet because we're going to bring Natalie on. So Natalie Plain joins us now. She's in the Southern California area. Natalie, welcome to Daily Fish. What are you sipping on?
Cheers. Having a little red wine, but of course in the mug, just as it's happy hour, right? So we're here.
All right, very good. Well, let's say here's a toast to the Miami Hurricane fans and also the Oakland Raiders. So cheers, everybody.
And the Las Vegas Raiders, John.
Yeah, well, I want to cheers the Oakland Raiders too, just because they're one of my favorite teams too.
Yeah.
All right, now before we gab with Natalie, Daily Fish Drink of the Week is sponsored by Shucks Tavern in Vegas. Great seafood and drinks in 2 locations. Head to the Shucks Tavern on North Durango on the northwest side of town, where fish is overnight. Say Daily Fish Podcast, you get a free drink. Do it the next day, a free appetizer. That's Shucks Tavern. Check out Shucks Tavern on Facebook. Also in Vegas, if you're in pain, you need to go to Medsonics. The sound wave technology is non-invasive. You sit there for 25 minutes, relax, and the pain is gone. I use it. It works. Plus, it helps with jet lag, too. The technology will soon be all over the country. Go to medsonics.com, spelled MEDSONIX, medsonics.com. Al is the owner inventor. Tell him Daily Fish sent you. All right, so now we have Natalie Plain with us. She is a big LA Lakers fan. She has quite a work history, starting with her internship in the White House of Bill Clinton. Then she ended up at Real TV with me, helping to launch the show 25 years ago. But she is now the owner and creator of Billion Dollar Beauty and Billion Dollar Brows, a beauty company for women and for men. Natalie, it's great to have you on Daily Fish. It's so great to see you.
So great to see you, John. So nice to meet you, Fish. This is an amazing experience. Thank you.
Well,
pleasure's ours.
Absolutely. So first, the most important thing that you got to hit is Fish gave away his mustache to Raiders quarterback Derek Carr. Now, we don't have the picture of Derek Carr's mustache that he took from Fish, but we do have a shot of Fish. Do you think Derek Carr should give that mustache back to Fish, or is Fish better without the mustache?
This is a no-brainer. It's $1 billion no-brainer, no mustache. I love this look on you. Clean lines, clean face, just gorgeous. Do not.
Thank you.
We'll go into the brows later, but clean face. I love a chiseled face. So looking amazing.
There's actually, and he showed a picture at the game yesterday with his son, who's like 25, and you thought they were twins.
Exactly. Hair can add or detract from your age. So you made a good choice to remove the stash.
Very good. All right. So tell us the story of Billion Dollar Beauty, how it came about.
Billion Dollar Beauty was born out of necessity. I was struggling with my own eyebrow situation. I was actually working at Real TV when I went out on my lunch break to Beverly Hills and was trying to understand like how all these on-air actresses were so gorgeous. And I realized it was their eyebrows. So I had my eyebrows professionally done. And the next thing I knew, I came back from lunch. And I think Matt Gavin actually said, like, you look different. Or somebody, JJ, said, you look different. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is this happening? Like, I'm actually becoming a woman. And so my eyebrows and having them well shaped. Because I look back at photos from me in the White House, kind of lost my ways and didn't know because I was so like in the moment. And yeah, that was my aha moment.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's fabulous. So starting the company, how did you create this company? Because this company is booming.
Yeah. No, it was not an overnight success. We're 18 years in the making. It was really, again, a side hustle in the beginning. So I did this as I was writing scripts for various reality shows, working for the Jackass crew, anything to make ends meet. And when I really took it seriously, Kohl's believed in us and they took us, domestically to every single store. I knew this was my calling. And so it started with one product called Brow Boost. And we now have over 50 products worldwide. We're in Russia, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, name a country, we're probably there.
Wow. So this is for men also, because my biggest thing is my eyebrows. I want to have Peter Gallagher's eyebrows.
Yes.
Take a look at those. Oh my God. And as I've aged, my eyebrows are no longer there, or they're no longer fluffy. So
I thought that was you.
So what's that?
It looks like you.
Well, it does, but my eyebrows are like, I mean, they're just horrible. Well, Peter Gallagher doesn't look like
that
me.
Looks like John?
John? It's got a John. Okay, so can I one up you? Okay, so I wrote a book because I just was like, kind of like, I need to write a book. It's called The Plain Truth About Brows. Look at chapter 6. Who did I write about?
Oh my God, look at that. That's great.
Peter Gallagher.
That is real. That's facts.
I thought you were going to show us a picture of Pierce Brosnan because that's who I get. We were in line at an airport 20 years ago, and two old yentas said, "Is that him? That's Pierce Brosnan." And I said, "Yeah, I'm his agent. You want to talk to him?" They said, "No, if it was Tom Selleck, we want to talk to him." But he gets Pierce Brosnan. But Peter Gallagher? Can you see, Daddy? Can you see John doing sex videos and sex lives and videotapes?
I was thinking more the OC, but that's just me.
There you go. Then the fact that you live in Orange County, you would understand it. So can you do anything for my brows? That's what I want to know.
Absolutely. I think Alex Rodriguez has really brought brow necessity makeup to the forefront, right? We all struggle with our eyebrows, men included. We have a men's grooming kit, right? I think we sent that to you to kind of try. It comes down to like tools, right? Trimming and tweezers. And that is it. And filling your brows with a little brow wax to keep them tamed. Like we can't recreate the brow. And we say that for men and women, but do work with what you have. And that goes all genders.
So brow wax is what I need. Okay. Because I use your, to sculpt them and to cut them because I get these crazy boar hairs. But then I just realized there's spots in there. So brow wax. So you got to help me with that. That's for sure.
Yeah, we're coming out with a tinted brow wax, which is going to kind of fill in those sparse areas and keep those wiry hairs at bay. So yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm definitely going to get your product because a thing I'm not a big fan of, Natalie, and I can't stand it. Anthony Davis has it, your Lakers, and I've seen women have it. The unibrow. I think it's the most unattractive thing on a person. So I was guilty of it, but I'm plucking like crazy. So you're going to have a product that's going to help me not pluck, right?
Oh yeah. You got to get it. You got to get up in there. You got to get up right in there. Get those strays away. You don't want exactly. I can see it. Yeah. And then you want to groom them, right? You don't need to craft a whole brow, but groom them. So that's the key. And to Anthony Davis's credit, he's built a brand around himself and trademarked the brow. So to his credit.
What do you think? Well, what do you personally think of the unibrow? Does that help your product or not? Because I don't think it's especially on a woman. Unless you're a Romulan in a Star Trek movie that has the unibrows or the Klingons, it's attractive. They got the ridged foreheads. It works. But on a human woman, for me, I don't like unibrows. You?
No.
Do you like it?
No, I think it's all about symmetry. So that's what we promote. Problem solution. Find what works for you. Like each of our face is not symmetrical. So you have to balance it out. And that's what the eyebrow shaping does. So the brow, women, men, find your symmetry. Yeah.
Got it. Well, we're gonna segue here. Oh, go ahead, John.
I was going to say again, the websites are billiondollarbeauty.com and billiondolarbrows.com. So go check them out. All right, let's talk Lakers now. Are you a big fan of Russell Westbrook's fashion statements like this here?
I love fashion. So I love it all. I love how men embrace beauty and fashion. I think we're on the cusp of a very new generation of athletes. I love the runway when they come in to, their pregame. So to me, yes, I'm a huge fan of this.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm an LA guy, born and raised. Saw the Lakers in '71 win 33 in a row with all the Magic years, Kobe and Shaq. I'm not a big fan of the way, Natalie, that the NBA is construed right now, with guys sitting in Nate Nels and Beverly Hills and saying, "Oh, come play here with me and we can." And you saw the Nets do it with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant and James Harden. Now the Lakers just signed Russell Westbrook. They got Rondo, DeAndre Jordan. You're building these super teams, and it's the way the ratings are down. Are you into that, or are you just care about them winning? Do you care about the future of the NBA, or do you think that the league could be killing itself with building super teams and making 5 teams great and the rest of the teams lousy?
Well, here's the facts. I think that social media has propped these guys up, and they're building their own brands within a sports setting, right? And so building a team, building that network of individuals is at the utmost importance. But at the same time, they are individuals based on their social media profile. So we're living in such a different era. And I'm a huge Magic, Kareem fan. Like, I get where you're going, but we have to accept what we're looking toward in the future.
Well, if you can accept looking towards the future, but if it worked back then, if the great rivalries, like when Magic was against Bird and Kobe and Shaq would play great teams in the East also, and you had, Ewing with the Knicks, and it's lost that allure. Unless, some of these great teams in the East, like Giannis, we just saw with Milwaukee. The bottom line is I'm concerned with the team chemistry, and building your brand's great, but that's about building your own individual. Does it really help the team?
Right. Yeah. And I think that's the rub, right? Is keeping your individuality, keeping your social media on point while also being part of a team. And so the bubble, I think, brought the team together. I thought that was the best thing that came from being in the bubble. And I saw that, and the team rallied together. And I think, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, of course, really rallied, and it was a really special thing to witness.
Okay, how about as far as win losses this year? What are you predicting? Because like Fish is saying, you got a lot of stars on the Lakers that 5 years ago, this would have been unbeatable team. But you got stars in their twilight years. Do you think they're going to last throughout the season? Are you confident they're going to win maybe 60, 70 games?
It all comes down, are they healthy, right? Are they healthy? Are they ready to play? I mean, I think that's where the breakdown was at the end of last year. And so looking forward, I think that I want to say yes, right? But that's to be determined. And did they condition themselves over this period? We shall see.
Yeah. My concern with the NBA, and I think you'll agree with me, is they haven't marketed themselves well enough, and they're still trying to compete with the NFL, which to me is just ridiculous. You don't put games on against the NFL. It's proven. The NBA is going to do it again. They're going to start Sunday games in November against the NFL, and they're going to lose. Okay. And we go back to an era, John and I, where the NBA was dominant. 1985, when Jordan was playing, Natalie, and you were probably a baby then. The ratings with the NBA and NFL was equal, and I want the NBA to come back because I go back to those days. Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, and throughout the whole lineage of great Lakers, and now they're back again. I mean, LeBron. Say what you want about LeBron, he's polarizing. He'll go down as one of the top 5 NBA players of all time, and it helps the Lakers. And he attracts. One thing about LeBron's like Tom Brady with the Buccaneers. He attracts great free agents to come play with him. Would you agree?
Absolutely. That's the truth. And so I think looking forward, and I'm getting tickets to see the Rams play the Buccaneers. I think it's on the 26th. So I'm super pumped for that.
I'm pumped for that. I'm pumped for because I'm pumped for LA. I want to see LA do well.
Me too.
And there was a packed house for the Bears at SoFi last Sunday night against the Rams, and I want LA sport. I want the whole country to do well and bounce back economically. And watching these full stadiums, whether you're a virus guy or not, is still good for commerce.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially LA. I mean, LA is going through some very transformative situations, and so anything we can give back to the city is huge.
So Fish was saying that when you were off screen in the queue, you had thumbs up about USC firing their coach. What's your take on that?
My biggest take is that my husband, my father-in-law are like ecstatic because all I hear is, when are they going to fire Clay Helton? When is this happening? Like, they're going crazy. And so last Saturday, I was running errands, and I knew as soon as I walked in the house, it was like, this is not good. And so it was just like, my husband was at Chipotle yesterday. He got the push notification. He texts me, and I'm like, finally, okay, good, we can move on. So next up.
All right.
And it
was
the Pete Carroll era, the Reggie Bush, and it was such a special era. And I'm excited for the next. Let's turn the chapter.
Okay. We're going to move on too, because, we just did a 25-year anniversary of the premiere of Real TV. We had on 3 of the producers. You mentioned a couple of them already: John Johnston, Michael Horowitz, and Matt Gavin. You and I worked with them. How do you remember the show and its effect on your career?
Well, I remember you had the Cush bungalow in the back.
I did.
let's be honest here,
yep,
right?
Absolutely.
You had your computer, your desk, air conditioning, full like Hollywood star. And I was like, one day, meanwhile, we're in like a bullpen, pounding it out, harsh lighting in cubicles. And So, but those are my fondest memories. Those truly, and I think everybody who worked for the show believed at what we were doing, because we were the precursor to YouTube. We were the precursor to Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, right? And so having that family and seeing all these great moments, and I have taken those moments and I look at every part of our company as I'm storytelling, constantly storytelling. And so everything that you instilled in me, JJ instilled in me, Michael Horowitz instilled in me, and Matt Gavin, Danny Tobias is in my soul. So yeah.
Talk about that bungalow. That bungalow, I'm interested in that bungalow. Did John come out? Is it true that John, the rumors are true, I've read this in the National Enquirer, that John would step out of that bungalow dressed like Hugh Hefner with the Louis Vuitton, robe on, and he had a cigarette. He doesn't even smoke cigarettes, but the long thing, and say, "Oh, well, Natalie, can you please get one of the TAs to get me an Earl Grey tea?" That ever happened? Was he that kind of guy?
I didn't see the like robe thing, but there was definitely a little, touch and go, little ego going on here and there. But that's healthy, because when you're taking a show that is like nothing, 0 ratings, to like off the charts in all major markets, kudos to John for taking that show to where it was. It was just epic. It was like watching like history being made.
It's funny about John. I'll go to one thing about Real TV, John, that's a kudos to you. Is John, I met John, he was an anchor in town here on Channel 13 News forever. But when people came into my bar and recognized John Daly, it wasn't from being an anchor every night on TV, from Real TV. That's a pretty good compliment.
That's a huge compliment, and that's just facts. So yeah, that was fun to watch and very instrumental in my life.
Well, nice of you guys to say that, but we had a great team, and I think we showed that last week on the 25th anniversary show, and you were obviously a very, very big part of it. Do you have any funny stories about Real TV that maybe you haven't told anybody that would be kind of eye-opening to some folks about what went on behind the scenes there?
Everything was funny. Everybody was funny. Everybody was fun. I think the most, you remember certain key moments, right? And so for me, and I know we're going to talk about the White House a little bit, when Time Magazine called me and wanted me to go on record about Monica Lewinsky, JJ pulled me aside. Michael Horowitz pulled me aside and said, absolutely do not go on the record. Don't put your name in this. Don't smear. And I followed them to the T. And so having that like mentorship and how you look at your career and what that can look forward to is very like sticky in my head. It's always been part of me.
Well, that's interesting, because it kind of leads into, because I do want to talk about that, but when you were at Real TV, and I remember stories of, and it wasn't JJ Horowitz or Gavin, obviously, but there were people there who were grilling you about being in the Clinton White House. Did you get a lot of that? And the fact that you were kind of quiet about it. I mean, you talked about it, but you never. I mean, I never heard anything that would be like, oh, that's going to go somewhere like that. Was that because of JJ and Horowitz and Gavin pulling you aside and saying that, or was that just you just wanted to, move on and get going?
Well, I think when, the story broke, prior to the story breaking, it was like a feather on my resume, right? Everybody was like, wow, I got interviews. Everybody was like, how did you become a White House intern? And then when all of a sudden this scandal broke, it was like, oh, did you wear knee pads? And that was like heartbreaking to me, because all of a sudden everything I worked toward had come down to knee pads, right? And cigars and all this, bullshit. And so I worked so hard to get to that point that I'm like, I'm fighting for this. I'm going to tell the truth. I want people to know what it takes to become an intern, how interns behave. And this was just an outlier with the White House internship.
I saw, not to make a joke out of it, because it's a horrible political scandal, and I'm a Clinton guy, Clinton fan, voted for him, say it, and that brought him down. But I saw a ledger of all the pages and interns that were working in the White House, and why he picked Lewinsky, I don't know, because there's a lot of girls that look like you,
Yeah.
I guess he picked the one girl that thought she wouldn't rat him out. I don't understand the whole thing. I don't understand how that whole thing happened. But what was your interaction with President Clinton?
Yeah, and back to that point, I don't think there was one person. I think between Clinton and Lewinsky, there was an energy, right? And you make yourself available. And so interns are supposed to be kept in a certain area. We primarily work in the old executive office, which is just parallel to the White House. The White House is primarily a residential building. And so you wouldn't spend much time there unless you were taking a paper. There was very little interaction with the president, right? And so I think during the government shutdown is when everything kind of laxed a little bit. And so between the two of them, there was just an energy, and everybody's always had that, at some point in their lives where you just felt that, and the rest is history. But
can I ask you one more? Oh, I'm sorry, Natalie. Go ahead.
No.
I'm sorry. I cut you off. Because you just touched on something. President Trump said that he asked Barack Obama during the transition, what's the one piece of advice you can give me? And you know what Barack Obama said to him, which he didn't listen to? Stay off of social media. Stay off of Twitter. Stay off of Facebook. Anything you can. All right? Do you think President Clinton should have, there wasn't those kind of devices around back then, or websites or social media. But, I don't want to get into the slamming President Clinton. But if you look at some of these Netflix series and you look what's going on with Ghislaine Maxwell's testimony right now, he's a pretty big player on Epstein Island. And I feel bad for Hillary, because that's going to come out. And this is after Monica Lewinsky. So did you see a guy that just didn't learn, or is the ego that big?
Ooh, it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both. He's a very complicated individual. And if you saw the documentary on Hulu, I think that was the closest you can get into his mindset. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I did.
And yeah. And so for me, and the apology that he made, that's about as close as you're going to get into his struggle and why he and Hillary came to be, why he time and time again always went down that route. Yeah.
Go ahead. I was going to say, it was interesting when you were interviewed, and you just touched on this. You talked about the government shutdown that was so big at that time when Congress closed down everything, and really there was nobody working there. And all of a sudden, the interns, you guys became the government. You became working. Do you think if that hadn't happened, this Monica Lewinsky scandal wouldn't have happened?
I do. I absolutely do. I think the government shutdown, again, over 70% of the staff was told you cannot work here. But phone calls need to get answered. Emails needed to get answered. Again, like you said, Fish, there was no social media. So all we had to concentrate was to make sure that the country felt like the government was still in motion. And that opportunity, I raised my hand. I was working the phones. I was working late nights. But it's up to the individual to know the limitations that you're given, right? You're wearing a badge that says I. A is for administration. And so the people that allow you into the White House look at your badge and decide if you can come in or stay out. And that's what it comes down to.
Talk about how crazy it is, because one of the greatest things that John talked about, one of our binge watches that John did weeks ago, was The West Wing. And they said it's pretty accurate of what goes on. And you watch that show? Have you seen it, Natalie?
It's a little too close to home. And yes, I have seen drips and drabs, and it's so close. But yes, every single scene that I've seen is spot on.
Is that accurate, that there's people constantly walking around, doing things, carrying papers, documents, this meeting, that meeting? The president doesn't get 5 minutes to himself. So you're pretty, that's a pretty good, accurate description of what goes on in the Oval Office, right?
Right. And Dee Dee Myers, who was the press secretary at the time, was a consultant. So I think she did an excellent job making sure that the producer's pace, right? Is it Thomas Shalom? He knew exactly the pace of the show, coupled with facts of how the working office looked, the narrow hallways, right? The lighting is such, like the Oval Office is, only so big. So yes, they did an excellent job.
Talk about another TV show. There is on FX. It's called American Crime Series, Impeachment American Crime Series. And Monica Lewinsky is actually a producer of this mini series. Have you watched that? Have you seen it?
I'm going to watch it. I turned it on for 10 minutes last Wednesday. I wanted to sit down, focus, really see where it was going. And within 10 minutes, I was I kind of checked out. I'm a big fan of Ryan Murphy, the executive producer, creator. I watched the OJ one. I didn't watch the Versace, right? But for some reason, I don't know if it's casting. I don't know that the woman that plays Monica is the Monica that I remember, right? So I sat in a cubicle next to her. And so the Monica that I remember was not her. And so maybe I'm too close to it. Maybe I'm too big of a fan of Ryan Murphy. I don't know. So I need to let it kind of settle and get other people's feedback before I decide if it's accurate.
Interesting. All right. Hey, this is Daily Fish. We're talking to Natalie Plain, the founder and CEO of Billion Dollar Beauty and Billion Dollar Brows, a beauty company for men and for women. The websites are billiondollarbeauty.com and billiondolarbrows.com. Natalie also worked with me at Real TV, and she was an intern in the Clinton White House. Plus, she is a huge Lakers fan. Fish, what else do you got for Natalie?
She's spot on. Look, Edie Falco is cast as Hillary Clinton, and Edie Falco is one of the top dramatic female actresses in history. She played Carmela Soprano. She's not Hillary Clinton. She's not. I mean, she is, but she's not. Do you have, I don't know if you know her or not, but Monica Lewinsky's made $27 million off of books and things she's did from this act that she had, or this horrible experience with President Clinton. Do you have any empathy for her?
Empathy? No. Zero. She knew exactly what she set out to do. She was young. I get it. If I had even, I'm a very late bloomer, but if I had been her, but there were enough historical facts to support that this was not by accident, right? She had somewhat of a mindset, right? That being said, you're right. She's capitalized on it. And so those are facts. And what I do know is they had an energy, it happened. And what you do with that for the better good is up to you.
Right. Well, that's it. I mean, there's a great story floating around, Natalie, that the Academy Awards, I want to say circa 2000, 2001, she's waiting in line to get into one of the big parties at the Playboy Mansion. And Will Smith comes out to the front and he says, "What are you doing here?" Because he's hosting something at Hefner's place. He goes, "You're not getting in. You're not a celebrity." And I felt bad that made all the Access Hollywood, whatever was going. If Real TV was doing that, that made every single TV show about that. And I don't know. I mean, it's such a stain on the guy's political, actually his character. I thought he was a great president. I thought everything he did was well calculated, and he found a way, like we don't do now. We don't just talk politics on this show, but we're so divided right now. But at the time, the Speaker of the House is Newt Gingrich, and he found a way to get along with Newt Gingrich and do what was right for the country. And Clinton was the last guy to do that. Barack Obama couldn't do it. He wanted to, just, Trump, and now it's just nuts. I go back to Clinton as the last president to really bring together both the Republicans and Democrats and have a working government.
Yeah. No, one of my favorite moments was, to that point, was watching him and Yasser Arafat and Yitzhak Rabin stand on the South Lawn and break bread and shake. And he was a peacemaker. Clinton was the ultimate peacemaker, right? Everything he did was about bringing people together. He loves people. He loves being a part of moving the needle forward in humanity. So you can't take that away from history.
I hear that from a lot of people who know him, who have dealt with him. They felt the same way too. Let me ask you this: how is there anything that the media or public opinion has gotten wrong about that scandal that's never been corrected? That you would say, here's what you really need to know?
I think before the scandal, I think for me personally, understanding what it took to become an intern. So there's background checks, there is paperwork, there's obviously applications. You have to write. I was personally a writer, correspondent for the president. So I would write on behalf of him in speeches for CEOs and respond to any mail that he got from high level individuals. And so to get to that point, you have to audition. And so when you say intern, intern can mean anything, like, oh, clean up papers, do this, do that. It's not like that. So at least in this position in the press office, for me, it was held to high esteem. And that's something people don't know about becoming an intern. You can't buy your way into it. And I like to pride myself on that. And I like to know that as Miss Lewinsky, everybody had an audition. Everybody either got accepted or denied. I've had plenty of denials over the years, but getting this letter changed my life, and it will always carry forward.
You just brought something up that I was thinking. I'm just wish. I love your company, $1 Billion Brow. It's fan. Could you imagine having your company back when there was a Yasser Arafat and Yitzhak Rabin? I've been to Israel. Their eyebrows, they look like spiders could mate in these things. You would make a fortune in Israel back in the 70s and 80s. They'd be lining up on the block, like they lined up for bread at the, during the time of the Russians, communism. They lined up 5 blocks to get bread. I'm serious. Everyone's got an eyebrow. They make Peter Gallagher's eyebrows look like they're shaved. It's crazy.
Hey, I've been told that there's one product in particular. It's a pencil. It's called the Triple Threat. A very good friend of mine has said she's taken this to Israel, and she said it's the only product that has kept her eyebrows on point while traveling to Israel, and that's a fact.
I didn't think about the women in Israel. Maybe they have the same problem, but the man. Oh my God, I was there, John, and I was on a kibbutz. And every guy's eyebrows, it's like you couldn't see their eyes. They kind of came down. It's like every guy's eyebrows look like Jerry Garcia's head. It's crazy. You make a fortune there, and right. Well, this is one of the greatest guests. This is one of the best guests we've ever had on, because she gives you beauty tips. You can talk sports and politics. Well, you know what, Natalie? I might want to kick John off the show and have you co-host it with me and get better ratings. Or John, get me off the show. Bring me out and talk about partying on a bus. And then have close to with this girl,
We're the triple threat.
There you go.
Hey, Natalie, we're almost out of time, but real quickly, I know your business is doing great. Do you ever wish you could get back into TV?
I don't wish, because it's coming. I think that part of our brand it's blossoming. So we're becoming $1 billion brands, right? We're all encompassing. And so the future does include broadcast, and that's part of our narrative. So stay tuned.
We will definitely be watching it. All right. We have been talking to Natalie Plain, a huge Lakers fan. She's also the founder and CEO of $1 Billion Beauty and $1 Billion Brows, a beauty company for men and women. The website is $billiondollarbeauty.com and $billiondollar.brows.com. Natalie also worked with me at Real TV, and she was also an intern in the Clinton White House. Natalie, thank you so much for coming on. You were a great interview. We got to have you come back on again.
Ooh, thank you. No, this has been amazing. And thank you both, Fish, John Daly. You'll always be my Mr. President. And yeah.
Tell him that.
Wait for that.
I guess what, Natalie? You will not be as Monica Lewinsky. I can promise you that.
Nope.
I won't say that ever. That's right. Natalie, thank you so much. We're going to have you back on again.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Look forward to it. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, folks, coming up, Fish and I are going to wrap things up and preview next week's show as well. But hey, you need a great golf getaway. The Myrtle Beach Golf Trail has dozens of courses along the Carolina coast, set up for an entire trip for yourself, your family, or a bunch of friends. The site is myrtlebeachgolftrail.com. You can play there year round. Come on down to the area. It's great. All right, Fish. Hey, that was another fabulous interview. Wasn't she great?
One of the best. We have great shows, but this is personally one of my favorites. I mean, just candid, and do you have any empathy for Monica Lewinsky? No. I love that. And like I just said it. She's multitasking. She's got a great company. She's got these great stories. She worked on a great show with you, and I'm sure if you had a reunion show and you guys all sat in a bar together, she'd probably be the one that tells the greatest stories about you, Gavin, Horowitz, JJ, Danny, all the guys that put this show together. Fantastic. Loved it.
Yeah, she would. And you knew when she was on the show, and again, she was probably in her early 20s or so at the time, you just knew this was somebody who was going to make it big. I was surprised that she moved into that field. I thought she would be more in television, but it's great to see her success and to see how she really hasn't changed. She's just the same person she was before. She's just grown to more success. Hey, let's go ahead. I was going to ask you about something.
Real quick, you meet someone and you can just tell they're going to be successful. That's Natalie Plain. I guess you look at them and say, "This, I'll be on TV." They have a direct focus. I love that.
Hey, let's also we got about three minutes left here. Talk about the fact we got John Hardison coming. We have the Daily Fish Hardline that's coming up, and this will be on every week. And this is a great addition to us because, you and I know betting, we know lines, but we don't have the inside stuff. John has it. It's such a great get for us.
Yeah, and we get I'm going by the comments that we get. We get hundreds of comments that say, talk about the games, talk about the lines. People love to gamble. They love to do contests. They love to gamble and prop bets. We've had him on the show. He's engaging, and he's very, very intelligent when it comes to that kind of knowledge of gambling. And he'll bring fun into it, and he'll get pissed off at himself for picking a bad game, but he'll help out some of the games that this guy's going to pick are the same games that he's playing. Some of these guys you hear on the local radio, "Hey, yeah, call me. This is Joey in Brooklyn. Hey, 1-800-EATACannoli.com. I got the lock of the week." That's all bullshit. No one has a lock of the week. John will say to us, John will say, "Hey, Daly, Fish, go out and put 100. Go do a 3-game parlay. Put Cleveland, Jacksonville, and Kansas City in the parlay because I'm betting the same thing. And then I'll show you the ticket." So you gotta have that.
And what's great about him is even when football season's over, he's great as far as the NBA goes.
Yeah, and college basketball.
Yeah,
everything, all sports. He bets baseball. So I mean, we're all year round.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things is I think there's going to be 28 states in the United States that are going to have sports betting, sports gambling that's going to be legal and allowable. I'm in North Carolina. They said by 2022, next year at this time, people are going to be able to bet. So this is something that is definitely going on. And so anyway, we're going to help people do it as well. Again, special thanks to Natalie Plain, the owner and CEO of Billion Dollar Beauty and Billion Dollar Eyebrows. Remember, Daily Fish is live from Vegas and Myrtle Beach. Catch us on Facebook at daily.fish.5, DBNA Television on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and soon Apple TV. The DBNA Television website at dbnatelevision.com. And also, we are on the Myrtle Beach Golf Channel. We're also on YouTube as well. And just check us out and join us. And we're going to see you here next week. So, Fish, do we know who we have next week? I think we do, don't we? Yeah. We have Melissa
Kondo. Yeah, she's a triathlete that's actually done triathlons in the Himalayas. Yeah. So that's going to be a phenomenal interview. So can't wait for that. Hey, John, rest in peace. Rest in peace, real quick. I just looked at my phone. Norm Macdonald died today.
Norm Macdonald died today.
What a great he fought cancer for a long time. 61, almost my age, and to Norm, rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace, Norm. No, he was great. He did the Saturday Night Live news report.
Absolutely, and was terrific at it. And he took a lineage from Jane Curtin and moved it in the right direction. So, John, have a great week. And
you too. Thanks, buddy. Another great show. Looking forward to this weekend too with some great football. So we'll who knows? Maybe we'll do a bit Daily Fish Hook and get people involved a little bit more.
Hey, don't tempt me, buddy. Yeah. Love you.
Okay, love you too, pal.